There's been a lot of conversation about Elon's statement that there might be three rough quarters. That'd be the fourth quarter, first quarter, and second quarter of next year. I'm just not buying it. I don't think those are going to be rough quarters. I don't think they should be rough quarters. I think that with 3 months notice that the sales department at Tesla should be finding out what it's going to take to make the fourth quarter great, which is typically a good quarter because of the normal Christmas and everything else that happens in the fourth quarter. Plus, it's going to be a good economy by then, and first and second quarter the economy should be even better. So I'm thinking, no, there's no reason. Let's figure out a way, guys. But there's going to be a bunch of stuff going on that should make it easier for them, at least, to have just to do just fine. So let's take a look. I know I'm always the optimist, but let's let's play along just for fun. How's that? We'll start with quarter three. We should have a substantial increase in U.S. sales of Model Y and 3, probably even S and X and Cybertruck, all due to the expiration of the $7,500 rebate. Now, that's going to be pulling a lot of orders forward, people that will buy in the third quarter who might have been planning to go to the fourth quarter, and they're going to buy in the third quarter instead in order to take advantage. That makes totally good sense. Now, that is, I'm sure, what Elon meant when he said fourth quarter could be rough, because you've got that pull forward, and those are sales you're not going to get in the fourth quarter. Margins should be blisteringly high in the third quarter because there's not going to be any need to use incentives. They've already mentioned that while there are lots and lots and lots of incentives right now, those are going to be slowly reduced over the next 9-10 weeks as we get closer to the end of quarter three. We haven't seen any benefit. In addition, we haven't seen any benefit yet from the Shanghai Megafactory. The sales numbers, the deployment numbers for Megapacks in the second quarter look like what we would have expected just from Lathrop and Powerwalls. But therefore, because of the lumpiness, I would expect to see a big jump. We should be able to do 12.5 to 13 gigawatts from just Lathrop and Powerwalls, and we only did like a little less than 10. So just the lumpiness should get us to 15 in the third quarter, now counting anything from Shanghai. So if we just figure at least 15, but it could be 18, could be 19 in the third quarter, that's pretty substantial, and that'll just continue to grow from there. Other income sources are likely to just keep normally continuing up. We pretty much know what the overhead's going to be, et cetera. So I think we could be looking at $1 a share. We could be in that range. Could be more or less, but it's very possible that we get to $1 a share with the increased sales, increased profits, and increases in energy storage. All right, the quarter four has its challenges. That's what Elon was talking about. The hardest part is keeping those sexy numbers anywhere close to quarter three. So what are you going to do? Well, number one, you're going to start putting those discounts back in. Now, if you're buying a car at, let's say, the very last week of the month with a $7,500 discount that has no benefits from lower interest rates, no extra things thrown in, no discounting, no nothing, well, then on what day did I say? I meant September 30th. If that's where you are on September 30th, then that's all you're getting is the 7,500. Then kind of one way to look at it is all Tesla has to do really is on October 1, they can say, you know what, we're still going to offer a $7,500 deal, $7,500 off, or you can have a 0% interest and $2,000 worth of whatever. I mean, you can play the game. You can get back to roughly that $7,500 because, quite frankly, just getting the interest rate down to 0% or 1%, that's $3,000-4,000 right there. Not that hard. So as we've been ramping up, and getting more and more, benefits from making these products longer and ramping for longer, and we have the new model out, which costs less to make. All these things, they might be able to come close to offering $7,500 off in October. In addition to all that, quarter four is usually strong in China. And Europe's not going to be impacted by any of this. So Europe could be strong. By that time, we could have the FSD approval in Europe or China. That could really help sales in one or both, depending on which ones actually get the approvals. So those are all possibilities. The stink might be more and more off of Elon, depending on whether he says more stuff in Europe. We might start to see some of that start to fade away. I'm not going to promise that, but some of the other things should actually have an impact. Now, coming to the rescue in Q4 should be 25,000 or so Model Qs. Now, that's what people are predicting just for the US, just for ramping one factory. I don't know how many factories are going to make these. Are they going to only make it in Texas? Are they going to make it in Fremont? I don't know. Are they going to say it could be 25,000 or more just in the US? And then are we going to make them in Berlin? Are we going to make them in Shanghai? I assume. It would seem to me that the less expensive version for Shanghai and Berlin would potentially do even better than the United States. So those are unknowns. So it could be more than 25,000 for shipping from 3 or 4 factories. We could be looking at 100,000 even in the first quarter. I mean, the first quarter of production. Again, then maybe that's high. Make it 50. I don't care. That would still be a very nice way to balance out this problem that we're going to have with lower sales of the traditional sexy versions. And then, of course, like I said, I'm hoping that there'll be a lot of promotion effort, maybe an ad. Who knows? It's going to be football season. It's time to put that ad up on the in the first game of the year. How about the first game of the year? Or anytime, just a few ads here and there sprinkled in. Anyway, while Q4 could be a dip month for Lathrop, if we have a great month in the third quarter, so it could be a little bit of a dip for Lathrop, still 10,000 in Lathrop, 9,000 in Lathrop should be good, 3,000 in Powerwalls, that's 12. Now you've got Shanghai should be going full bore. So, the potential could be as high as 22 gigawatt hours. You could really be at 23 gigawatt hours because they're adding more capacity on Powerwalls also. We could be with a max capacity 23, so something over 15, maybe even up to 18. That wouldn't be crazy for the fourth quarter. So maybe we back off to 50 cents a share in Q4. Maybe it splits the bait. Maybe it's between 50 and $1. Maybe we're 70 or 75. This is a very much harder figure because it's all going to be about this Model Q, and we really don't know what's going to happen there. Well, then in Q1, we begin the ramp of Cybercab and also Semi. These are not going to add the profits in the first quarter because they're going to both be beginning their ramps, but there's going to be some meaningful amount of revenue from both. And one thing we have no way to guess as to how many of these Cybercabs are going to go straight into the Tesla fleets. My guess would be almost all of them are going to go into the Tesla fleets. And then we don't know what kind of profit is going to come out of that. Now, again, depending on how the bookkeeping works, I would think that we'd still could see profits from day one practically on most of the Cybercabs as they're set out into the fleet. Model Q should now be profitable in the second quarter because this is going to be a fast ramp given the way that they're going to do it, maybe even be profitable to some degree in the fourth quarter. And it should be adding substantially to sales in all regions. And then if Robotaxi is doing well and we have substantial territory where unsupervised is available, the sexy model should also pick up nicely. We should have a roaring economy also by Q1 for sure. All of those things should be adding to very great opportunities for moving up margins and moving up sales and getting things really, really rolling. I mean, again, you got to think we got the visual by now. If truly we have the robotaxis in 50% of the population of the United States is being covered. We don't know exactly what covered means, but if they're out there in multiple states, 6, 7, 8 states in the first quarter of next year, and they're doing fine and they're not breaking down and they're not having problems, they're not having accidents, then what's that going to mean for the average consumer out there who's thinking about their next car purchase? What about all those people that are riding in those cybercabs and those robotaxis? They're potential customers, every single one of them. This is all just going to be adding up and adding up. And I'm thinking by Q1, there's going to start to be some FOMO from the folks who are hoping to be part of the Airbnb part, and that they'll start to buy up cars also in anticipation of the Airbnb. Now that might take till the second quarter, but might happen in the first quarter. So energy, as we keep mentioning, we should now be at 20 gigawatt hours for sure, because Houston should be ramping in the first quarter, maybe even the fourth quarter, but they haven't given us a date yet. But I'm thinking by first quarter, it's ramping. We should be at 20 gigawatt hours and climbing all year long as we start to get some capability out of Houston. So I'm thinking we're back to a buck, maybe even more, especially if execution goes well on everything that we just talked about. All right, now we're to quarter two. This is one of the quarters he said was not going to be great. Well, we should have profitable sales now on semi. We should have serious impact on sales and profit from semi. Cybercab and robotaxi income will start hitting the bottom line. Consequentially, maybe not amazingly, but consequentially. Elon said third quarter. Okay, maybe he's talking about 10%. I mean, that's what people say. Oh, it has to be 10% before it's consequential. Well, maybe it'll be 5% in the second quarter. Energy moving up, as I just mentioned 2 seconds ago. Overall vehicle sales might be sold out at this point with high margins due to that very anticipation that I'm talking about. Because by then, we should be getting the estimate of the date. When is Airbnb? Or maybe it's already starting to happen. Let's say in Austin, and then San Francisco, and then etc. Maybe the Airbnb part is starting to roll out kind of the way that they started out with the Austin rollout. So we also could be seeing FSD and even ride hailing in Europe and China, Japan, Australia, etc. All potential adding to the dollars. As mentioned, energy now is well above, by the second quarter of next year, should be well above 20 gigawatt hours, heading towards 30 plus by the end of the year. Optimus is now fully deployed throughout the factories and is saving $500 million per year, or $125 million per quarter in labor. That is bottom line, coming right off the bottom line. Also, our own trucks should be out there in volume now, bringing in raw materials to the factories and also delivering cars and other products to their destinations, reducing overhead dramatically. We should be starting to see that. Should have an impact, maybe in the first quarter, but certainly by the second quarter, we should be seeing a lot of impact from robotaxi and from electric vehicles doing pickups and deliveries. And maybe some autonomy by that time as well. All right, so where am I wrong? These quarters, to me, have plenty of good news and potential to move shares. And there's lots more too. I didn't go into every single possibility, but at some point, the FOMO will kick in. Let's talk about that next. I think the investing public is now waiting to see the system working. They're waiting to see robotaxi actually working. Then they'll be waiting to see Optimus actually working in more situations. And that could all be happening too. By this time, by the first and second quarter of next year, we might have an Optimus day or something really showing what Optimus can do. We'll see how that all works out. Anyway, any and all of these future things that we're talking about, I'm just talking about, these are now going to be catalysts that I think could come in the third and fourth quarter of this year. I'm not even going into next year. This is third and fourth. I know we're already a month in. So these are things that are going to happen within the next 5 months and change. Number one, everybody agreed with this when I put it on X today, taking the safety rider out. When that happens, I think we get a bump, just like we got the bump on San Francisco on Friday. And then if we increase the Austin geofence, especially if they increase it by 10x, if they go to 450 square miles, yeah, I think that'll be even more than San Francisco. That'll look like something very big. If they just say, okay, in Austin, everybody can download the app now and use the system, I think we'll get a bump from that. Then if we see that, in fact, here's what's going to have to happen. They say, okay, everybody can download the app. Now we have to see a lot of people actually using it. Okay, now we're going to get that chicken and egg thing. How many cars do we have to put out is based on how many people are using the app. Tesla can change that rapidly. It's not going to cost them nearly as much as any other company, any other cab company. It doesn't matter because they make the cars. So they can throw cars into the system No problem. As many as they need. So if they've got lots of people demanding it, they can put a bunch of cars out there. If we see a lot of demand and a lot of cars going out in order to meet that demand, this will be, I think, very good for FOMO. Then at some point, we're going to be adding these other cities during the next 5 months. San Francisco, I haven't heard anything yet about San Francisco this weekend. That might have been a rumor, a misplaced rumor. We'll report on that. Elon's going to be giving an interview here in a few minutes. I'm recording right now at 3:50. The interview is supposed to start at 4. So I will probably do another show tonight or first thing in the morning, talking about what Elon said in that interview, if any of it was useful. Okay, but what's really happening in San Francisco this weekend? And then we've got other cities coming as noted. Then we've got reducing the nag. I don't think that'll move the stock, but it's going to move my heart. I'm going to love it when they reduce the nag, and it'll be evidence that we're getting closer to fully unsupervised, which is the next one. In my opinion, when they announce fully unsupervised, that should move the needle big time. That should really make the stock jump. Now, I might be talking 10% or 5%, 10%, but it should really move. That is a significant difference. That'll be a big deal, and it's supposed to happen in the next 5 months. Then all of this needs to happen, what? Without any serious incidents. That would be the important thing. And the more weeks that we go by, more and more weeks going by without any incidents, that's going to help the stock. And then we've got providing some kind of transparency about the stats. I've talked about this before. If we get stats, monthly, quarterly, we got to have stats sometime. We need the stats about incidences that we get them out of Austin, but eventually we're going to be in a lot of different places that are not going to be, we're not going to have public stats. We're going to be relying on Tesla to give us information. If they don't, that's not going to help. So if they do, that's going to help. Well, of course, unless the stats are lousy. All right, then we got Europe, China, and more approving FSD. When those things happen, when they announce Europe has said, okay, you can do FSD, that's going to move the stock. When China says, okay, you can sell FSD now, that's obviously going to move the stock. Then we've got how about a national standard? That's been promised. We think we're going to get a national standard. All of a sudden, California standard might not apply anymore. We won't have to worry about other states, and we'll be able to go city to cities and states based on where we think it's smart, as opposed to where we think we can meet any regulations in those places. So I think if there's a national standard that's agreed upon and signed into the regulatory mix, then that should be a stock mover. We should when we pass Waymo in terms of the vehicle fleet, as is Brian Wang's favorite, they're about 1,500. Well, when we're at 16 or 17, in other words, when it appears that we have more cars out, it might only be a few percent, but it should move the stock. Then how about an OEM licensing deal? There's going to be a day when Ford and others are going to go, okay. Yeah, you don't need LiDAR. No, we were wrong. You don't need LiDAR. Obviously, you don't need LiDAR. And when that day happens, I think there's going to be a line at the door of people that want to do the licensing deal. Then, of course, one of my new favorites is maybe an announcement of a solar gigafactory, along with some hints of what the technological advantages might be that Tesla thinks they have in order to give them a leg up over everybody else out there. Okay, let me know what you think down below. Are these catalysts real? Do you believe most of these are valuable and useful and will actually move the market? What do you think about the third, fourth, first, and second, the next 4 quarters? Do you think that I was in the ballpark of what's probably going to happen? Do you think that I'm right they should be able to take advantage of the situation that's in front of them and sell lots of vehicles by, dropping various advertising, promotion, cuts in the price, whatever it takes. Let's sell out the factories. Okay. All right. That's all I got for, let's see, what should I remind you of? Early this morning, very unusual day today. So he started off with Phil Beisel. No, that was last night. Phil Beisel last night. That was you guys loved that one. That got a lot of views, but Phil Beisel talking about the details, getting into really the details of robotaxi and when we really do need to use LiDAR, why those cars with the big thing on the top of the car, why those are running around in the cities before the launch, what those things are doing and why they do it, and some other technically interesting stuff. I'll put that card up. And this morning, it was Brian Wang, and he was talking about other aspects of robotaxi, how he sees things over the next few months in terms of way he sees things rolling out and how it compares to Waymo and others. And then a little while ago, I did a very different kind of thing with Sir Basher. We talked about yes, cyber coins, digital currencies, Bitcoin, etc. You know, that's a big deal for him. Okay, it's really, 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 really worth the watch. Okay, if you care at all about Bitcoin, if you're saying I should maybe have a few percentage invested in Bitcoin, if you're thinking, oh, I have invested in Bitcoin, but I'm not sure if I should stay. What's going to happen with it? How is Bitcoin going to impact the entire next few years in terms of finance, in terms of the economy, in terms of the way things are done in the economy? How's it going to impact this AI revolution? Well, we did all of that in an hour and 7 minutes. So if you haven't taken a look at that, all three of those cards will be right here in case you want to go back and look. So that's all I got for you right now. And I'm now going to say adieu. It's been nice talking to you.